Jutting out into the Adriatic Sea in northern Croatia is the old town of Poreč. The bell tower that can be seen above all the terracotta roofs belonged to the Euphrasian Basilica, Poreč's UNESCO World Heritage Site. As a person who likes a collective list, the Basilica is also the first UNESCO Heritage Site I ever visited, being brought there as a child. It's listed as a UNESCO site as it's a good example of Byzantium architecture. The Basilica complex can be found on the main street of the old town. The entrance gate has a beautiful example of the mosaic work that can be found once inside the Basilica. After you walk through the gate and have paid your entrance fee, you go straight into the atrium, which has the Baptistry on the left and directly opposite is the Basilica. Each part of the complex has signs in Croatian, Italian, German and English explaining where you are. The Baptistry is an octagonal-shaped building built in the 6th century, and at that time it was baptism by immersion, so into the baptismal pool you went. The pool is also an octagonal shape, and at the back is the modern, 18th century marble font where babies were just held over the font and were baptised with a sprinkle of water. Behind the marble font is the door to the bell tower. People can climb up the narrow steps to the top. There is a sign in multiple languages asking people not to ring the bells, but there's always at least one idiot who gets up there and does ring a bell, and I can attest it's absolutely deafening being that close. The view from the bell tower is lovely, out to sea looking over the red roofs. From the other side you can look back inland and you can spot the new church, as it was once referred to me. It has a much smaller bell tower. The church is called Our Lady of the Angels and was built in 1770 when Poreč was part of the Venetian Republic. After you leave the bell tower, you can enter the Bishop's Palace. Years ago, this wasn't open to the public as the bishop still lived there. It now houses religious art. You first enter into a grand audience room where in years past the bishop would receive visitors. You then move into smaller rooms. This one is quite ornately decorated from the time when the local area was part of Istria. The walls do need some restoration though. In the corner is a ceramic heater. Also Austrian era. I've seen a few around. Looking out the window you can see the garden and really see the shape of the Baptistry. Also the bell tower, which is the newest building in the complex, having been added in the 16th century. Downstairs holds the older artwork. This fish mosaic is the oldest one at the Basilica. It dates back to the 4th century. As a child, I thought it was incredibly ugly. The fish was an early Christian symbol. This mosaic I really liked. I thought it was beautiful. The tomb of St. Maurus, who is the patron saint of Poreč. The first basilica, which dates back to the second half of the 4th century, was dedicated to St. Maurus of Parentium, as Poreč was called in Roman times. You then go outside to see where the oratory was. The floor mosaic was originally part of a large Roman house, so it predates the basilica. The oratory was incorporated into the church, the older one. The present basilica was built in the 6th century by Bishop Euphrasian, and it was built on the site of the older basilica, which had become dilapidated. The basilica isn't large, which I think surprises people. The mosaics above the altar are stunning, as they have been restored, as I remember visiting years ago and the whole area was covered in scaffolding, and from my earlier memories I don't remember the gold being quite so shiny. The top shows Jesus with his disciples. The curved section has saints. The dome has Mary, to whom the basilica is dedicated, holding the young Jesus. To the left is Bishop Euphrasian holding a model of the basilica. The canopy, I learnt called the ciborium, is modelled after the one in St. Mark's in Venice and was added in the 13th century. Down by the exit door there are two sections where the floor is cut away and you can see the mosaic floor of the original basilica. The new one was just built on top of it. These sections of the floor fascinated me as a child, thinking about how old they must have been, considering that the basilica I was walking around in that time dated back to the 6th century. Once outside the basilica you can see the view that is used by thousands of photographers and tourists. The curved arches, the octagonal baptistry walls, and the bell tower rising behind it. And here's my version. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. The Euphrasian Basilica in Poreč is a fascinating and beautiful place to visit in this big wide world.